Today I'm going to be unboxing this little beauty. It's the new Real Techniques Bold Metals Collection Miracle Diamond Sponge. Like the name suggests, it is a diamond shaped sponge. It's new. According to a video they've put up, that it's the size of a 900 carat diamond. It's got 13 different facets on it, and you're meant to be able to create any kind of look with the sponge. I've also got the original Miracle Complexion sponge. I bought this one, a new one, because my old one is a little bit broken, but I will be doing another video on all of that. But I'm going to unbox this one, and in case the packaging is a bit awkward, I have got a pair of scissors. So I'm just going to move this one out of the way. So on the back you've got a bit of information. It's giving you, saying that the top should be for buffing and blending for a flawless finish. Smaller flat sides to work around the eyes, mouth and the brow bone. Large flat sides to function as a wedge to apply makeup for larger areas. Now I don't know if I personally would be doing that. I might just use the top for the sort of foundation-y thing. And it says the pointed tip to cover small imperfections. Use wet for dewy application and dry for full coverage powders. Replace every 1 to 3 months. Replacing it is kind of common sense. I always use my makeup sponges wet. I find that is much better for me, but I do find that I can build up a fuller coverage regardless of it being wet, compared to using a dry sponge. So I'm just going to get right into it, if it will let me. Oh, there we go. So it's in this plastic container. Let's open this up. It's got a little plasticky bit there. Let's take that out and let's pull the sponge out. Oh, so it's got like a little tripod-y type deal here. Here is the sponge. Now the Real Techniques guys posted a video on this, and I thought, oh, I've got to grab that because I'm quite a sponge fanatic right now. Apparently not one single sponge is the same in terms of the marbling, which I find is quite nice. There are a couple of little dents from where it's been in the packaging, but hopefully over time they will just disappear, or even when I just wet it. So let's put that over there. Now it feels very similar to the texture of the original Miracle Complexion sponge. It feels quite velvety. It feels very squishy. It looks really nice. It is a nice size. It looks like it's going to do the job that I need it to do, really. I'm just going to get the original sponge out of its packaging just to do a little side-by-side comparison. Here comes the scissors. A little bit of a comparison for the sponginess. Now the diamond sponge, I believe, is not out in America yet. I believe that's coming on the 22nd of August. As you can tell, I'm in the UK, so it's out now. Bought it today. It is £12 in Boots. I don't know where else stocks it. As far as I know, it is just in Boots. You can get it from the Real Techniques website as well. But in America, I believe it's going to be, obviously from the Real Techniques website, and I believe it's going to be exclusive to Ulta. Now, side by side, the texture of them, they look pretty much the same. I mean, the original orange one, you can see it a little bit more. You can see the sort of pores of the sponge, if you will. You can see the texture, it feels very velvety. Those of you who are familiar with the Real Technique sponge will know that this will pretty much double in size when it's wet. This, however, I don't know how it will compare, but I will check that in a little bit. But as far as the sort of squishiness goes, they are the same. That's what I would say, at least. Sort of makeup pros out there would probably have a different opinion, but you know, just a regular ordinary person, I find that the squishiness of these are exactly the same. Obviously this is from the Bold Metals collection. This is just the original one. I know that they're Real Techniques brushes. They've got a Bold Metals collection of that, and they are slightly more expensive than the original brushes, as would this be by definition of its name, Bold Metals collection. I'm just going to go and wet this sponge and see how it reacts in the water. Now, just for comparison, it goes from sort of the top of my finger here to the bottom. It's basically the length of 4 of my fingers across, and I haven't got that big hands, so let's go and wet that sponge and see what happens. So I'm back, I've wet the sponge, and as you can see, it has expanded quite a lot. It hasn't really expanded lengthways, sort of it went from my finger to my finger. It's a tiny little bit bigger that way, but the main thing that I've noticed is it has expanded widthways, so you've got a very large surface area to work with here compared to this little guy. This one's not wet. It soaked up the water lovely, everything's squeezed out, you know, there's not a drop left in that. It hasn't retained that much water. I can feel that it's damp, but it's not overly excessive like some cheaper alternatives can feel. It feels like it's going to apply the foundation exactly the same as this little fella. Again, you know, it feels the same kind of squishiness while it's wet as the original one. Obviously they wanted just to bring out a sponge that goes with the collection of more expensive brushes. As far as application goes, I'm going to try this with a little bit of foundation on the back of my hand. My face at the moment is not reacting very well to the heat, so I feel putting a bit of foundation on my face with this would not give this little guy justice. So I'm just going to go and grab a little bit of the foundation and see what happens. Well, I've got the foundation, which is this. It is the Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet in beige 10. I'm just going to shake that up a little bit and put a little bit on the back of my hand. I have the sponge ready. I'm just going to put a little drop on the back of my hand and we'll see where we go from there. So I've got a little drop of the foundation on my hand, sponge at the ready. Now this is how I'd normally pick up foundation, and you can see that it is sort of sitting there. Looks to me like it is just sitting on the surface rather than in the sponge, and it is blending out really, really nicely. Now this particular foundation I had matched to my skin, and you look, there we go. I cannot see where the foundation ends and my ordinary skin, I suppose, I don't know, where my foundation sort of, which is here now. But I can't tell whether that blends into my ordinary sort of without foundation skin tone. Now, let's just dab a little bit more. Okay, so that is the end result there. It's a little bit dirty there. I can't see where that is blended into my skin, which is a good thing. So it has performed as well as the original. Now, what I like to test with sponges, now I know I only used a drop of the foundation. So I know I only used a drop of the foundation, but I like to squeeze where the foundation is and see just how much comes back out of the sponge. So, oh, look at that. Look at that. See there, next to my nail? There's a little bit there, let's wipe that off. There's a little bit there where I've squeezed it out. So out of a drop of foundation, I'll just wipe that back onto the sponge. Out of a drop of foundation, I would say, you know, it has retained a little bit of the product, as I would expect most sponges to do. I find that even the original Beauty Blender holds on to a little bit of product. But obviously this is, you know, it's a different brand. But yeah, no, I'm very impressed with this. I'm very impressed. So as far as this sponge goes compared to this little guy, I'm glad I bought it. I am very glad I bought this. I would definitely give it 10 out of 10. Well, yeah, 10 out of, I'd say 10 out of 10 for this one. It's going to give me many uses. In particular, this large area here. This is going to be perfect for getting right into the corners of my eyes with concealer and everything else, where I can't necessarily get with even the little tip of a sponge, even when squeezing it. This I won't need to do any of that with, because the tip is just so sharp. It's not sharp, but you know what I mean. It's sharp. I would say it's maybe not necessarily worth the £12, because it does exactly the same thing as this at £5.99. This is twice the price as this one. But I am glad I bought it, I will say that. So that is it really for the unboxing of the Real Techniques Bold Metals Collection Miracle Diamond Sponge.